So hello everyone, in this appendix we shall be looking into some generated groups like cyclic groups, finitely generated groups and so on, and direct products. This would be really brief. You can go through it, and also the definition of direct product is given in the exercises, but I'd recommend you going through it for a better understanding of group theory.
So we have already seen one generated group, which is a cyclic group. So can we generalize it to a subset? Indeed, we can. So the subgroup generated by a subset of G, note that we are not using a subgroup notation, S might be any subset, is defined as the product of a few elements S1, Sn for any natural number such that either Si or Si inverse, or in fact both, might belong to S. So it's basically the same as saying the product of Si to the power Li, where Si is an element of S and Li is equal to plus minus 1, either plus 1 or minus 1. Why are we saying it's a subgroup generated by S? First of all elements of S are in this set, right? Just set n is equal to 1 and L1 is equal to 1 and span over all the elements of S. So S1, S2, dot dot dot, all the elements of S are indeed in this subgroup generated by S. This is notation similar to cyclic groups. Moreover, inverses set Li is equal to minus 1 and the inverses in G are also in this group. So this thing is closed under inverses. Next, as inverse and that element, both of them are in this group, identity is also in the group, right? Because set n is equal to 2, S1 is equal to S2 and L1 is equal to 1 and L2 is equal to minus 1. So it's basically S1, S2 whole power minus 1, but S1 is equal to S2, hence this is identity. So identity is in S and this is closed under composition, right? It's a beautiful thing. You can prove it, it's closed under composition. So it's a subgroup and it's generated by S as S is in that group. And why generated? This is indeed the smallest subgroup of G which contains all the elements of S. And can you prove this fact, or equivalently prove this fact, that the intersection of all subgroups which contain S as a subset is basically this subgroup generated by S? This is not difficult to prove, and first of all we have already shown that this is a group and show that any subgroup which contains S contains this set. So then the intersection is indeed this set. So our notation of cyclic group seems to be consistent with our new notation, as the cyclic group generated by A is basically the cyclic group generated by the subset A of G, right? So now we ask a few questions to think. Do two same ordered cyclic groups have similar properties or do they behave differently? And similar question for the infinite ones. So again, we also ask one more question: how the subgroups or elements of cyclic groups behave? Can we determine that exactly? The answer, surprisingly, is no for these two and yes for this one. We shall see the first two things, that the behavior of any two cyclic groups of the same order, infinite or finite, is the same after we discuss linking or how we can compare two groups. And know that how we can determine the subgroups or elements of a cyclic group just by knowing its order, we go to the next slide. Our proposition is any subgroup of the cyclic group G generated by G is cyclic. We shall assume and prove it for infinite order. The finite order proof is pretty simple and similar. So suppose n denote the least positive power of G in n, H. Then basically this is a subgroup of H, right? Also, if G power m belongs to H, then Euclid's lemma shall say there exists Q and R. So the m is equal to Qn plus R and R is lesser than n and non-negative. So Gr is equal to Gm times Gn to the power minus Q, right? and Gm and Gn are both elements of H. So this Gr is also an element of H. But N was the least positive power of G in N, H. So Gr, if it belongs to H, it can't be R can't be positive. So R has to be 0 by the minimality of N. So indeed, H turns out to be a subgroup of G power N. So if we have this condition, we have that Gn is H, or H is cyclic and generated by G power N. This also proves that all subgroups of Z, here I meant the integers, are of the form Nz. So it's basically all multiples of N. Additionally, if there exists some finite subset of G such that it generates G. So basically the subset or the subgroup generated by S turns out to be G. We say G is finitely generated. This is just a definition or a nomenclature notation. Let's look at an example of generated subgroups. Consider the subgroup in R generated by 1 and 0.3. So this states that it's additive, so it contains all integers, it contains all multiples of 0.3. It contains all real numbers of the form 1x plus 0.3y. Note that it contains 0.1 as 1 minus 3 times 0.3 is contained in it. So it contains this group. So it contains this as a subgroup. But this contains 0.3 as well as 1, this subgroup. Hence, any element generated by these must be generated by these. So this is a subset or a subgroup of this. Hence, this is a subgroup of this and this is a subgroup of this. So we get that this whole thing over here is indeed an equality. So we get that these two groups are the same. So the subgroup generated by 1 and 0.3 is the same as the subgroup generated by 0.1, or the cyclic group generated by 0.1. So let's look at another example. This is a subgroup. Sorry, my mistake. I missed a notation over here. So it's the subgroup generated by all reciprocals of integers or rational numbers. So the reciprocals of natural numbers, or this is the same as the reciprocal of integers because we need to close it at the addition, generate Q. This is not hard to see. So we now revisit cyclic groups and study a bit more about them. So we have already seen that Zn is a cyclic group of order n, and Z, the set of integers, is a cyclic group of order infinite. Both of them are of this form, are generated by 1. I mean their 1. Over here is the 1 or the remainder 1 element, or the equivalence class of 1. Over here is the integer 1. We have already proved that order of any element divides the order of the group, and we'll see it again in the next class. But let's use this, and the fact that every element of Z other than 0, the identity always has an order 1. So every non-zero element has an infinite order, and the elements of Zn satisfy this property. So now we discuss something about packing, which we stated earlier. We want to pack two groups G and H together. So can we think of a larger group containing both these groups as well as respecting these products, that is star and add, or whatever you call this? Yes, indeed. We define the external direct product or the direct product as follows. It's the set G cross H, the Cartesian product, with the group operation, this thing defined as star in the first coordinate and at the rate in the second coordinate. So both of these are well defined and in G. So it's a closed operation, and we'll soon prove that it indeed is a group. And suppose we assume it's a group for now, then we can show that G and H is somewhat embedded inside G cross H. So it's basically containing, or G and H are packed inside G cross H. How? G cross 1, this is the identity of H. and 1 cross H, the identity of G. This is the same as G, right? Just crossing with 1 is the same thing as G. Just all the elements of G, suppose small g, won't look like that. It would look like small g comma 1, but it would behave similarly to G. And this thing, both of these turn out to be subgroups. This part is easy to prove and you can try it, assuming that G plus H is a group. But we will soon show that. So over here we have S. We no longer specify the operation star comma NAT during our operations. So suppose all GIs are in G and all HIs are in H. So indeed G1, H1, G2, H2 is G1, G2, H1, H2, which we stated as G1, G2 and H1, H2 are elements of G and H respectively. This is an element of S. And closure is proved and associativity is also similarly easy to prove. So let us look at identity. Indeed, 1G and 1H, the identity of G and identity of H, this ordered pair is the identity under this operation. Verify this. And the inverse is also easy to find, as it's G1 inverse, H1 inverse. Basically, multiply this with this. On the right hand side, it's 1G, 1H. On the left hand side, it's again 1G, 1H. So it has inverse, it has identity, it has associativity, it has closure. So indeed, we have a group over here. So now let us create some groups using this direct product concept. We know that Z2, every non-identity element, only one of them is there, has an order 2. So is there any other relatively small group such that all elements have order 2? By small group we mean finite and small or less than say 10 order. So is there any other such group over here? Clearly we have showed that order of any element divides the order of the group. So OG must be a multiple of 2. But any group of order 2 can be shown to be cyclic. This isn't hard to show and it's very much similar to Z2, which is also cyclic. So 2 doesn't work for us. So let's look at 4. We already know Z4 is a group of order 4. But it does not meet our requirements, right? Because it has an element 1 which has an order 4. So is there any other group of order 4 which would solve our question? And the answer is yes. So consider K defined as the direct product of two copies of Z2, Z2 cross Z2. Note that these two Z2s behave independently of each other. So it has an order 4, right? The elements are 0, 0, 0, 1, 1, 0, 1, 1. All of them are different. All non-identity elements have an order 2. Magnificent, right? This thing as 0, 1 has an order 2, 1, 0 has an order 2, and 1, 1 has an order 2. This subgroup K is of size 4. It also satisfies all elements have order 2. So it's not the same as Z4. It behaves differently from Z4. So for order 4, a pretty small order, right? You already have this thing that same order groups behave differently. So order 4 is not a determining property for groups. This is the first example of classification, where we realize that order is not just the unique ID for a group. So we have two differently behaving groups for order 4, K and Z4. K is called the Klein 4 group. So firstly, we have come across an example where we have seen a non-cyclic abelian groups. This thing is abelian. Try to prove it. Indeed, the direct product of any two abelian groups is abelian, and that's not hard to see. But this thing says that direct products can lead to many more groups than we could have thought before. So are all direct products of two cyclic groups different from cyclic groups? No, be careful, be careful. G, defined as Z2 cross Z3, turns out to be cyclic. In fact, Z2 cross Zn for any odd n turns out to be cyclic.